All right. Ghislaine has been in the news. Now, this, it seems, is kind of just coincidental that her appeal is reaching the Supreme Court at the same exact time that they're trying to shut down these files. The Department of Justice is asking SCOTUS to reject her appeal. The Department of Justice on Monday asked the Supreme Court to deny Jeffrey Epstein associate Ghislaine Maxwell's appeal of her sex trafficking conviction, a move that comes as the department has recently come under fire for its handling of Epstein's case files. Maxwell, 63, was convicted by a jury in New York in 2021 of 5 counts involving sex trafficking of a minor and conspiracy. She was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Maxwell appealed her conviction, saying it should be tossed out for several reasons, including that a plea deal Epstein reached with the federal government in 2007 immunized her and that statutes of limitations had run out. Quote, I'd be surprised if President Trump knew his lawyers were asking the Supreme Court to let the government break a deal, attorney David Oscar Marcus said. He's the ultimate deal maker, and I'm sure he'd agree that when the United States gives its word, it should keep it. With all the talk about who's being prosecuted and who isn't, it's especially unfair that Ghislaine Maxwell remains in prison based on a promise the government made and broke. Okay, so, that's very lawyerly, being kind of slick there, dropping some implications without trying not to go so far that he's going to piss off the big guy, while at the same time pointing out what many people are pointing out. Well, if there are no clients, why is she in jail? Are you suggesting she only delivered these poor victims to Jeffrey Epstein himself? Now, adding to the weirdness of the way Ghislaine Maxwell has been handled, and this may be part of the reason that her lawyer thinks Trump may be sympathetic, he's given some very strange answers about Ghislaine Maxwell, first in his first term, and then later on in 2020.
Is in prison, and so a lot of people want to know if she's going to turn in powerful people. And I know you've talked in the past about Prince Andrew, and you've criticized Bill Clinton's behavior. I'm wondering, do you feel that she's going to turn in powerful men? How do you see that working out?
I don't know. I haven't really been following it too much. I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well. Whatever it is, I don't know the situation with Prince Andrew. Just don't know. Not aware of it.
Do you believe that? Do you believe that? Very media savvy, always ready with an insult, always ready to jump on any scandalous thing in the media. Look at his face when he says that, too.
Numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, and I guess they lived in Palm Beach. But I wish her well. Whatever it is, I don't know the situation with Prince Andrew. Just don't know. Not aware of it.
Does that seem like he's telling the truth to you? He doesn't know anything about this?
Yeah.
This is
the other day a reporter asked.
This was an Axios interview in 2020.
Mr. President, the other day a reporter asked you about Ghislaine Maxwell. You said, quote, I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is. Mr. President, Ghislaine Maxwell has been arrested on allegations of child sex trafficking. Why would you wish such a person well?
First of all, I don't know that, but I do know that
She has. She's been arrested for that. You know that.
friend or boyfriend
Epstein
was either killed or committed suicide in jail. She's now in jail. Yeah, I wish her well. I'd wish you well. I'd wish a lot of people
wish
well.
her well.
Good luck. Let them prove somebody was guilty. I mean, do you know that
Oh,
she's
so you're
guilty?
saying you hope she doesn't die in jail? Is that what you mean by wish her well?
Her boyfriend died in jail, and people are still trying to figure out, how did it happen? Was it suicide? Was he killed?
It's a very sad
and
story.
I do wish her well. I'm not looking for anything bad for her. I'm not looking bad for anybody. And they took that and
I mean,
they
she's
made
a
it
child
such,
alleged child
such
sex
a
trafficker.
big deal. But all it is her boyfriend died. He died in jail. Was he
Very sad.
killed? Was it suicide? I do. I wish her well.
This famously vicious guy who loves to attack political opponents, who loves to single people out for their moral crimes, whether real or imagined, just happens to be wishing a convicted sex trafficker well because her boyfriend died. Yeah, that's got to be tough.
It's
It's
gotta
got to
be
be
tough.
tough. First, you're getting convicted for sex trafficking, and then your accomplice dies in jail. I mean,
Right.
it's a horrible story. It's absolutely horrible. It has nothing to do with the fact that I hung pretty hard with Epstein at my resort, and he recruited a lot of his victims out of there. Has nothing to do with that. Has nothing to do with the girl who claims that I and Epstein assaulted her when she was 13, who withdrew her suit against me, claiming that her life and the life of her family had been threatened. Nothing to do with that. Nothing to do with that. And it's not just him, as we well know. Got pictures of Epstein in the Oval Office, of him and Maxwell in the Oval Office with Bill Clinton. This goes back quite a long way. But now, Jeffrey Epstein's accomplice, Ghislaine Maxwell, is ready to reveal truth of fan of the playground client list. This story is tough to cover. So why are Republicans blocking her? This is from the Daily Mail. They got an exclusive on this. Ghislaine Maxwell is willing to speak in front of Congress about the Epstein files, sources tell the Daily Mail. Maxwell, 63, is the only person behind bars serving 20 years on child sex trafficking charges. You remember the modeling agent, I forget his name, the French guy. He was arrested as part of the Epstein scandal, but he self-deleted in prison. Funny how that works. Serving 20 years on child sex trafficking charges, despite the fact that fan of the playground Jeffrey Epstein allegedly controlled a web of underage girls. Additionally, Epstein's victims alleged they were passed around as sex toys to his wealthy friends and billionaire business associates who regularly visited his homes, including his private island, Little St. James. Now, a source said, despite the rumors, Ghislaine was never offered any kind of plea deal. She would be more than happy to sit before Congress and tell her story. Quote, no one from the government has ever asked her to share what she knows. Wonder why that is. She remains the only person to be jailed in connection to Epstein, and she would welcome the chance to tell the American public the truth. A source close to Maxwell told Daily Mail that the former girlfriend of Epstein, who continues to protest her innocence, would welcome the chance to sit in front of Congress and tell her story. The source said, quote, congressional hearings have been held into everything from JFK's assassination to 9/11. The Epstein files rank up there with those cases. Ghislaine would be willing to speak before Congress and tell her story. Few reactions. Well, the Republicans are now blocking testimony from Ghislaine Maxwell. If there's no Epstein client list, then what are they all so worried about? And besides Trump's name, how many of their names are on the list? That is a good question. MAGA Patriot. This is why, a good example of why this is so devastating to the Republicans on the whole. No Epstein client list? What do you call Ghislaine Maxwell's black book? The one that our government has decided can't be released as part of Maxwell's sentencing. Is the book full of blank pages? I mean, it must be if there's no list. We've sentenced her to 20 years in federal prison for trafficking young girls. If there's no list, if there are no names in the black book, then she didn't traffic anyone, right? Our government thinks we're stupid. Yes, they do. And this, Ghislaine Maxwell did not kill herself, preparing in advance. And this from Hillary Clinton. Very sad to hear of Ghislaine Maxwell's suicide. Oh, shit, that's happening tomorrow.
Yeah.
Of course, a parody account. But it is very rare here at Due Dissidents that we get to break news. Of course, we're dependent on much larger news gathering organizations that have bigger budgets. But we did have a source from Manhattan County Correctional Facility send us this video. And this is, according to them, this is the missing minute of footage from the Epstein cell. So you're seeing this here first.
Ha
So hey, it looks like looks very familiar. Who is that?
Looks very familiar.
Who
It looks
is
like a
that?
mix of Hillary and Trump. That is that's
It,
AI.
well, a lot of people are speculating it's Trump disguised as Hillary.
Trump disguised as Hillary. That's right. That is AI for YouTube. That is a parody as well. But yes, there you go.
Of course it is. So yeah, it couldn't be more obvious that this is a massive cover-up. Why would the Republicans not do their base so clearly is going to come with pitchforks and torches if they don't do something about this politically? Every fact in this case would indicate for political self-preservation, you're going to bring in Ghislaine Maxwell. You're going to do a big show of doing congressional hearings and investigations. You're going to release information, of course, with the victims redacted. Of course. I mean, everyone assumes you're not going to release information about the victims. Nobody's asking for that. The fact that they not only won't do it, that they would go so far as to refuse to allow a vote on the floor for the release of the files. If it was not obvious before that a lot of very powerful people with a lot of money and a lot of connections were part of this, this should really settle any question of that. It makes no political sense for the Republicans to be going this far out of their way. You're not just talking about Trump and his circle. Now you're talking about the Republican Party broadly in the House and in the Senate are not doing what this could be. They could make lemonade out of these lemons.
Yep.
Yeah, well, we're going to have big hearings and we're going to get to the bottom of this. The fact that they're doing the opposite, that they're throwing this ball to the Democrats to run with, yeah, man, God knows what's in those files, but it must be pretty bad, and it must implicate a lot of these people.
Well, yeah, and obviously, Trump himself. I mean, a fish rots from the head down, and the fact that they are going to such lengths to cover this up means that they know it's going to be an even bigger political headache if they were to release these files. And by the way, apparently there's another measure. Apparently part of the Democrat strategy now is to bring this Epstein file shit up for repeated votes in the House to force Republicans to continue to vote against it, which apparently
smart.
they
That's
did
what
this
the
afternoon.
Republicans would do. That's what the Republicans would do.
Which apparently they did do this afternoon. So apparently there was just a vote where 211 Republicans all voted no to release the Epstein files.
Oh, hang on. They
vote.
Brought it to the floor?
They did bring it to the floor. Yeah. So I'm going to show that in another piece that we're going to put into the first piece because we have to edit that in. But yeah, no, I mean, look, a cover up like this just shows you that they are screwed. They are absolutely screwed. They can't do this. And when you think about it, it really does show just how out of touch they are with their own base, how arrogant they were to think they can get away with this. Because look, they could have just kept kicking the can down the road. They didn't have to send that memo. They didn't have to send the memo, DOJ and FBI saying case closed. They thought that was a good time to do it because they just passed the big, beautiful bill. So we're fresh off of a major political victory and we're far enough away from the midterms. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off and go through
But you
this,
want to talk about out of touch. The bill wasn't popular.
Well, that too.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's a victory in terms of their agenda, not in terms of their voters.
Not in terms of the voters, but they thought that's another way in which they're out of touch. I think they felt like their political capital was at a peak, so let's just do it now. And, we will weather the storm and the waters will calm by the time the midterms get here. Not so. Not so. And if the Democrats keep forcing this issue into the spotlight, then yeah, it's going to be absolutely devastating for the Republican Party. There's no other way to put it.
Watch that tell. Watch how he shrugs his shoulders.
And
Watch this.
I guess they lived in Palm Beach, but I wish her well, whatever it is. I don't know the situation with Prince Andrew. Just don't know. Not aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a guy who's lying, who's been told you better not talk about this.
Yep.
Please clap.